everyone, we're back. Thanks for sticking around. Welcome back from the break. And we are here with Moira Marsh, folklorist, librarian, humor expert, former what was your title? Queen of the Bloomington Faculty Council?
Queen will do, yeah.
Emperor, whatever you were.
Empress,
God
yeah.
Empress.
You the God Empress. But yeah, we're here with folklorist Moira Marsh, and we're about to get into our interview with Moira. As always, chat, if you have a question for Moira, either drop it in chat or email us at folkwise13@gmail.com, and Shirley or I will read it. But with that, I think it's about time to start the interview. Shirley, do you want to do the honors and kick off the interview the way we always do around here?
I will do the honors. Hi, hello, everybody. As always, our interview questions and information are compiled by our wonderful sleuthing squad. So if you hear a question that you think is particularly astute and interesting, be sure to thank the sleuths.
And that goes for chat as well as it does Moira.
Yeah.
All right, so sleuths ready? Moira, you ready? I guess the first question we have, I'm gonna try to do this justice, but which joke made you switch from which history to which humor?
You mean which as in WITCH?
I
Right.
can't keep track of it myself.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're referring to my article on the flying phallus.
Yes.
Yes. Well, of course you're going to get to that. Yeah. Yeah. So the joke is that witches are supposed to steal penises. God knows why. And not only did they steal them, but they would keep them in little boxes or in birds' nests up in trees and feed them and, keep them there for, again, God knows why, because they're witches.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes that a certain man lost his penis, and so he went to the local witch, as one does, and threatened to throttle her until she told him, how he could fix his problem.
Uh-huh.
And she told him, well, it's no problem. She said, go to that tree over there. If you climb the tree, there's a box, and you'll find a whole box full of them, and you can have anyone, but just take one from the box. And so up he goes, and he goes to the box, and naturally he goes for the biggest one. And she goes, no, you can't have that one. That belongs to the village priest.
Oh.
Yeah. And that actually is the end of the story. But the funny thing is that story is in the middle of the Witch Hunter's Manual.
Wow.
Yeah, the Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches.
The Hammer of Witches.
The Hammer of Witches written by the Inquisition, no less, right?
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Exactly.
No
one expects them to tell jokes. But I argue that in this, because they have three penis theft stories in this book. And two of them are told more like either true stories or legends, because they don't end with a punchline. They end with, well, the guy finds a witch, throttles her until she agrees to give him back what she stole, and all ends well. Those are the two stories end that way.
Mm-hmm.
But this story ends with that you can't have that one. It belongs to the village priest, which is cues an old sort of anti-clerical stereotype about priests, right? So I argue in this one I did that they meant it, that it was a joke, and they meant it as a joke, and they put it in there even though it was a joke, because I think that they knew the difference.
Wow. This might be the liveliest way we've ever capped off an interview, and for once I'm going to say it. Thanks, sleuths. You're really setting the tone well with that question. That being said, you Moira, you study you study a lot of pranks and practical jokes, and I think in your opinion, what is the best prank you've ever come across in your research?
There are so many. There's one. Some of the best ones are what I call they're really meta pranks.
Oh, okay.
In a way, right? Meta pranks. This was told for me from a guy who was a sociologist from Britain. It was a joke that the members, fat professors in his department, played on one of their colleagues. And the point of the joke was that I'll tell you the joke. Basically, what they do is they would collect old alarm clocks, lots and lots of alarm clocks, and they would just mail him randomly these alarm clocks from time to time, and with no note and no explanation. And so he was going crazy trying to figure out who was sending him these clocks that didn't work, and secondly, more important, what did it mean? Was someone trying to send him a message? And the point is, of course, is that there was no message, and that was the point of the joke. I mean, a lot of jokes do have a point that they do. I meant to send a message about someone's, bad habits or whatever. But this one, there was no bad habit. They weren't doing it to be mean to him. They're just doing it sort of randomly. And the point that was the whole point of the joke, was that it had no point. I always thought it was rather clever.
That
But, yeah.
kind of reminds me about like some of the theories. Like I've read some stuff about like why does the chicken cross the road? Like it's supposed to be like funny because it's like an anti-joke kind of thing. Do you?
Well, yeah, you mean all the jokes that play on that model.
Yeah, well, like why did the chicken
Right.
cross the road? To get to the other side. Like the idea that humor is subversion, but it's only funny if you understand that it's supposed to not be that.
No, I don't know what you mean,
I've seen that
because it's like, what's going to be the reveal of all these alarm clocks? Just keep you guessing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. You're waiting for the reveal. Like 'cause most pranks do have a reveal. This one doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a shaggy dog of pranks.
Interesting.
It just keeps going and going and going. Yeah.
For one of your Moira, one of your sleuths that put this together is a big Downton Abbey fan, and she wants to know where does the prank she learned from Downton Abbey about digging up Piccadilly Circus rank in your all-time pranks?
Oh, is that in Downton Abbey?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I think
I did not know that.
Neville Chamberlain is late to meet with the what's her name? The Dowager with Maggie Smith because he got caught.
Yeah, the Dowager. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because someone dug up Piccadilly. Oh, yeah. Wow. That is great. I did not know it was in there. Yeah, that's it's an apocryphal story, an apocryphal prank that is supposed to have happened lots of different places. Actually a number of different places. Piccadilly in London, in the 1920s, but also in New York City, like in the 40s. Someone went and dug up Fifth Avenue.
Oh, wow.
Supposedly, same thing. And it probably actually the only actual case that I have found where it actually sort of kind of really happened. It wasn't exactly like that, but it happened like in the 18th century with the what's known as the Berners Street hoax. That's another street in London. This guy, and there are a couple of different versions of it, and it was shortly after the invention of the postal service. And so pranksters saw this as a wonderful opportunity. They were going to take advantage of the postal service. So the story goes that this guy, he said, I'm going to make a bet with this. He made a bet with his friend. I'm going to turn this quiet little street in London into the most, talked about, busy, riotous place in the whole city. And the way he went about it was that he started writing letters to tradesmen all over the city and telling them all to go, impersonating someone who lived on that street. I forget the address. There was an actual address. And the letters all said, I'm interested in buying a coffin. I'm interested in, catering services. I'm interested, I need all these different services. Please come to this address on this day at this time, and we'll talk. And so all these tradesmen showed up at the same time and caused a complete mass, meltdown of the city, of the street. So it has that same theme of shutting down a street, right, in the service of a prank. That one did actually happen, I believe, because it showed up in the local papers contemporaneously, in more than one paper. But the Piccadilly thing has never showed up in a paper anywhere except as many, many, many years later as one of those apocryphal prank stories. So Does that get what I forget what the question
Yeah,
was? There
well,
was another question.
that was it. That was it. It was just
Okay.
what's the story behind that, and I think you nailed
Yeah.
it. It's an apocryphal story with roots in a human traffic jam, but not the way it's been passed down. Yeah, that's fascinating. So this Moira, I think it's like a big topic of some things you've done recently, and I think we're pretty interested in for you to just go off, just really cook with this one. But you write a lot about unlaughter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I guess we want to know what is unlaughter, and how can a successful joke both like promote and manage unlaughter?
Oh, well. So unlaughter is it's not my coinage.
Mm-hmm.
It's Michael Billig's coinage. Unlaughter is what you get when laughter would normally be expected or desired but doesn't happen.
Mm.
So after a dad joke, for instance.
I'm quite familiar.
Quite familiar, yeah. So, yeah, and the point is that unlaughter is it could just be silence, right? Or it could be complaints, or it could be groans, it could be takes a lot of different forms, just as laughter takes a lot of different forms. But unlaughter is just as significant. The absence of laughter is just as significant as laughter, very often, in a lot of different ways, and it can be manipulated. If you want to show someone is on the outs in a group, you put them in a situation where they are being they are targeted with a joke that you know that they're not going to be able to laugh along with. And when that happens, they show themselves to be not really part of the group. And that, it contributes to social exclusion, for instance. That's one thing that can happen. Another thing that happens, though, is that there are some situations where unlaughter is kind of like a moral necessity. Some kinds of jokes, right? It is sort of imperative that you don't laugh at them. Because of what because of what laughter in that case would be seen to mean.
Yeah.
And the trouble with all that, of course, is that I think laughter covers up as much as it reveals. We think it reveals a whole lot about a person because we think laughter is uncontrollable, genuine laughter. It just happens. You can't stop it. And if you laugh at something, then that arguably you've shown something about yourself that maybe you didn't mean to show, about what your attitudes are, for instance, or any number of things. But in point of fact, when people laugh, you can have different people laughing at the same joke, and they are laughing for different reasons. The laughter means different things for different people, but it does promote that illusion of everyone laughing together, the illusion of sameness and therefore of identity. So that can be both good and bad. And I've kind of gone off the track there from unlaughter. I think unlaughter can be similar in that it can mean a variety of different things for different people. Which is why I'm interested in the Donald Trump story about the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
Very prominent example of unlaughter, right? He was the target of all. He was being roasted at the dinner, and the point of a roast is to make all these humorous insults about a person as a way, supposedly as a way of honoring them. I think that's debate in this case, and then the focus is on how a person reacts, how they take it, right? Can they take the joke at their expense? Can they give it back? Can they play along, be a good sport, whatever you want to call it? And the story at the time, and then even more strongly after, years after, the story is still going on even now, was that far from taking a joke, Trump was not able to laugh at his own expense, because we all know he has no proper sense of humor, and this just proved it. I think that story, and then that is the reason he finally decided to actually run for president, except that it was 4 years later and not not right then and there. So I think that particular story is untrue. I don't buy it, but it's a very popular theory. at least in the press, and also in the comments on that YouTube video is often that dinner is still up on YouTube.
Mhm.
It's in the comments. It's in the comments of the video back and forth. People saying, "This is the night that won the election for Trump." It's like, "Oh, this is the night that lost the election for Hillary Clinton," or whatever. And I'm like, "No, I don't think it was." But it is kind of one of those things that it's useful. It's one of those things that's useful for us to think with. Laughter and unlaughter are so important in modern culture that we see them as windows into people's souls,
Mm.
really. Like, whether you laugh or whether you don't laugh, depending on the situation, we think reveals something about yourself that that there's no way you can hide or fake. Um, that's the folk theory about laughter and non-laughter.
Mhm.
And I call it a folk theory because I wouldn't say that, bad folklorist, but because I don't believe it's the case. I'm being a bad folklorist, but
I didn't say that.
bad folklorist, yeah.
Yeah.
Moira, where do you think or do you think that unlaughter is sort of in like a dialogue or a relationship with the popular notion of cringe?
Yep. I think you so cringe means like what you do when you hear a dad joke,
Yeah, or yes,
or
but kind of like cringe is like a style of comedy, or cringe is like a sort of a
oh,
comedy aesthetic. Yeah.
You're talking about
I'm
cringe.
not sure. I'm not sure quite what it depends what the question meant by that. I mean, I think of like for instance, I mean, I like humor. I make jokes. I like to study it and think about it, but I don't like to watch
Mm,
comedy
mm,
usually because the characters in most comedy, well, in many cases, the characters in comedy they are cringeworthy, right?
mm-hmm.
They're so cringeworthy, I can't watch them
Wow.
because they're so pathetic. Uh, you know, that was true even back in characters that were popular. Back when I was a child, but you would never have heard of. Plus they're British or GW, you wouldn't heard of them. But uh, yeah, I mean, it's very. There are relatively few comedy sort of shows that I can stand to watch.
Mm,
Because the characters are just, for me, unwatchable. But that's what makes them funny, right?
yeah.
We don't laugh. We don't laugh at heroes, right? We laugh at
Mm,
people who are falling down and getting it wrong uh, and all of that. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about. Actually, I'd have to. It might be another paper sometime one of
it,
these days. But
take it and run with it.
yeah,
It's yours.
okay,
Thank you, sleuths.
deal.
Yes.
Thank you, sleuths.
When I
Yes.
read it, I was kind of thinking of it as like, are you familiar with the term cringe culture?
I don't
No,
think I'm familiar with that.
what's that?
Well, so it's like the idea of like certain things are just kind of like weird to like. Like a lot of like sub fandom culture can be considered cringe culture.
Oh, like
Like
you mentioned in when we were playing Undertale, that the original like formulation of Papyrus, that he was like an adult My Little Pony fan. Is that like what you're like getting at?
in a sense, like a certain part of like the Undertale fandom would be considered cringe culture. Oh, you're that into that sand skeleton dude? That's cringe.
Hmm.
Or like one
Mm.
could describe the fact that Papyrus has a race car bed as a presumable adult as cringe.
Yeah.
And I read it as sort of like we were talking about unlaughter, like the jokes you don't laugh out, or the people you're laughing at as a way of forming those lines between different subgroups. Like, oh, hey, it's funny you like this thing that you shouldn't like, and so I'm gonna laugh at you because it's cringe.
Hmm.
Yeah, but also then there's no end to that because some folks will then take that knowing that others are looking at you and laughing at you because you like this cringy, thing and doing it anyway just to show them, right?
Yeah.
So a definite thread of like cringe is dead. Like, okay, I'm gonna enjoy this thing because I enjoy it, and I'm not gonna let you sort of shade me for that. It's also it's a very deep seated, weird weird middle school girl thing, you know,
Mhm.
the when you randomly intersperse the Japanese because you just discovered what anime is, that cringe culture.
Oh, when you randomly are dropping Japanese words, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating, Shirley. Um,
Especially in context of Undertale, which is a lot of parts of the internet consider that cringe.
well,
Some people consider
you keep saying
Oh,
Folklore cringe.
you keep saying the internet. It just makes me think like the internet laughs at you and you care a lot. You know what I mean?
It it I think there's definitely it's part of the growth period. Like, you know, when
Sure.
you're younger or more insecure about what you like, people berating you about it can cause deep wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the because that's part of the resurgence of like cringe is dead. Like I just enjoy this. I know it's bad. I know it's silly. I know it's dumb,
Yeah,
but it brings me joy.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then, but it's I guess sort of yeah the idea of unlaughter as those forming those lines. Um, I don't
mhm.
know.
One of the things about the whole why I find the concept of unlaughter useful is the idea that anytime you have a group, or it's always a group, but anytime even an individual, that there's a metaphorical group laughing at a thing, there is always a hypothetical other that is not laughing.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's that hypothetical other, the hypothetical other might be there in fact, and but it might not.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if you have a hypothetical, it's the same. It works both ways. If suppose everyone agrees that such and such a particular joke is completely out of court, and we're not going to permit it anymore, and no, it's no longer funny. No one's going to laugh
Mhm.
at it. It's nothing but unlaughter. But the more we say that, right, the more you start thinking, well, there's somebody somewhere who might hypothetically find it hilarious,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So it's very that stuff if I find very interesting to think about. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it gets, you get layers and layers and layers. You could fake laughter, you could fake unlaughter. Uh,
Mm.
well, yeah.
Mm. Mm.
I see. Yeah, a lot of yeah. I don't know how
Fa-
familiar you are with
fascinating.
TikTok, but there's a lot of like comedy special clips on TikTok for like stand-ups promoting their work, and it's always funny when there's the off-color joke and the it's like, oh come on, it's like no.
Yeah, that exactly. What? So moving to some other stuff you do other than your research with humor, Moira. What role does librarianship play in making folklore research and materials more accessible?
um, well, it's librarians are the secret masters of the universe, right?
It's a secret, so I don't know how well I know
It's
that,
a
but
secret, but everybody knows it. Yeah. Said because we control access to information, right?
hmm
We know where everything is. That's what led to the raid at Mar-a-Lago. It was the librarians.
oh wait, really?
Uh, well, the archivists. So I'm counting the archivists
Okay, okay, okay,
under the
okay.
librarian umbrella. But I have friends who are archivists, so I can say that. Uh, but it was the archivists who knew what was missing, right? Um,
Yes, sure.
yes, they knew there was stuff missing, and actually they knew pretty much what was missing, and so they just went looking for it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not the only folklore librarian out there, but there are only maybe two of us in the world. Um, David Azalina at Penn is the other one, and my collection is bigger than his. He'll admit it. Uh, it- the job of a librarian is to preserve stuff and take care of it, and then send it out to the wide world so other people can use it.
hmm
um,
Mhm.
which is somebody said my sister sent me a meme about that the other day that says that's like the Jedi power of librarians because they take care and preserve all this stuff, and then they just send it off. I hope it comes back.
Secret texts.
The
Yeah.
sacred texts.
Yeah. So what I do as a folklore librarian is no different from what any of my colleagues that are academic librarians or actually librarians do. We are here to make sure that people can get access to information. It's why we're against censorship. It's why we do engage in what I call guerrilla librarianship sometimes. Ooh, where because so much stuff is paywalled, right?
Yeah.
We hate paywalls. Librarians just hate. If you want to see a librarian spit, you mention Elsevier. One of the big publishers, although there are other huge big publishers out there that are trying to lock everything up so they can make money off of it. And the librarians are out there on the other side, quietly sort of doing as much as they can to get things beyond the paywall and get it out to people, to the people who need it. So I think of that as guerrilla librarianship. But I'm not the only one who does it. We all do it.
Yeah. Is that related? Your guerrilla librarianship, is that related to the Open Folklore Project?
Oh yeah. I mean, the Open Folklore Project was all about that. It was Jason Jackson was one of the prime movers in that one, and he got all the librarians, including the library dean at the time, excited about it, and so we launched this bizarre little project, which was pretty successful. But it was really a guerrilla kind of movement because on the one hand there was so we had this thing where remember when Google Books was going to digitize the entire world and they were digitizing libraries all over the world, and they were going to make it all free, or very much of it for free. And so they were still busy in the digitize everything phase when they came to IU, and says, what collections do you have that are sort of extraordinary, and we said, well, we've got folklore. We call it a collection of distinction because there's no other collection quite like it anywhere.
Yeah.
And they said, great, we'll digitize it. And they did. They came in one summer and they digitized everything that was on the shelf. It was quite amazing how they did it. Dang, yeah. And then they gave us those digital files. And then in the meantime, they lost a lawsuit brought by the publishers, entities representing publishers. So it said, no, you can't put that stuff up for free because it's intellectual property, belongs to the copyright holders, blah, 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 blah. So they quit all that, but we still had the files.
Oh.
And so we said, okay, we're going to, we can't put them up legally if they are, not in public domain already, but we are going to go out and get permission wherever we can to make them open. And the only way to do that is by approaching one rights holder at a time. We did it with IU dissertations in folklore. We got a few of them. There's many more that we could get. So if anyone out there in the chat has a IU dissertation that they did, that's we already have those files. We have those digital files, but they're dark. But we can make them open if you will just sign a piece of paper saying you're giving us permission to do it, and making it a publicly available open access document. So yeah, that's my plug. Actually, you asking me what do you wanted to do for an ad? That would have been my ad, actually.
We can put that up next week. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Run it for a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Just let me know.
Cool.
We can make it happen really easily.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, mods who are watching this, make that happen. Last kind of serious question before we get into some fun stuff. Moira, we talked about your like service, faculty council, etc. Your work with countless students, these digitization efforts, all sorts of things. And I know you've called yourself an accidental librarian before, but where do you see yourself as a community builder? Is that on accident or is that intentional?
Yeah, it's an accident.
Okay, good.
I had to do a panel last week for the vice provost for academic affairs called Faces of Leadership. They wanted women who were leaders who had faces to be on a panel.
They have to have
You know,
faces too? Oh no.
That's a lot of
apparently I
shit.
qualified, so there I was. And it was weird to do that.
They have to have faces. That's very exclusionary.
Yeah. Because it's Faces of Leadership. So you had to, yeah.
So just a series of happy accidents then.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, so I never thought I'd be here. My God, I came to Indiana from New Zealand, and I thought I'd be here 3 years, and I stopped counting after 30. So yeah, I didn't know. I had no clue. I didn't know I was going to be president of the faculty, but I was elected. So I served. I'm just kind of like, I am kind of passionate about academic freedom and about shared governance, because that's what makes a university in my book. But you have to keep working at it and working at it and working at it, and you have to keep educating your colleagues about it, because the forces that are out there that would try and say these are not real things. It's kind of like a folkloric thing to do, actually. I'm kind of like I'm saying, ghosts are real, right?
Yeah.
Except they're not ghosts, but.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a great answer. For the explanation of these to keep talking about ghosts, unexplained phenomena in your career. But I do want to get in some fun questions for you. And this first one, perfect transition that you mentioned coming from New Zealand. For our mostly American audience, can you, being that you were from New Zealand, can you officially describe the difference between Vegemite and Marmite?
It's kind of a Coke Pepsi thing.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
It's really a matter of taste. They're basically the same thing. Marmite, to my taste, is a little sweeter. So I prefer Vegemite, but I mean, I won't turn down Marmite either. They're both black and disgusting looking. Both made from yeast, and both have all the B vitamins and are very healthy and blah blah blah. But to me, it's like a Coke Pepsi thing. But you do know what happened when the Christchurch earthquake hit.
Well,
right?
this is actually the next question on the document.
Okay.
How did you survive Marmageddon?
Oh, well, see, I wasn't there. I was here, so I was fine.
But what happened to your supply?
Marmageddon was what we called the Christchurch earthquake. Leveled Christchurch. It was a very serious earthquake. But the worst thing, arguably, that happened was that it destroyed New Zealand's only Marmite factory. So you couldn't get Marmite. People were selling it on eBay for huge sums.
Wow.
And it became a massive problem for those people who just, had to have their Marmite. And so, yeah, it was called Marmageddon.
Moira, I know you're not in your office at the library, but this has come up before. Specifically, I know you talked about this with the Nevada Humanities Council recently. But can you tell the chat who Boris is?
I can do better than that. I can show you Boris.
You can show us Boris?
Well, I think if I turn my video off for a moment, and if I turn my video off, you'll see my avatar, right?
Yeah, that's right.
How do I turn my camera off?
Hit the when you hover your mouse down, the leftmost button in the pop-up menu, it looks like a video camera.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the video camera. I'm only seeing the thing that lets me hang up. Oh, that's too bad.
It's on the left. It's on the left.
Oh, it's on the left.
The leftmost one. Sorry.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep. Oh, hello.
There you go.
Let's see if I can't.
That's Boris. He's kind of small.
I'll make him big. I'll make him way too big.
Okay, make him big
on the screen. But yeah, so speak about him.
So Boris is a very rare flying jackalope. He followed me home from Wyoming one day several years ago, and he lives in my office now. He's there now. Excuse me. There's probably some folklore about that. And if you speak ill of jackalopes, you will sneeze. And so a jackalope is a piece of American folklore, and it has material and narrative and game elements to it. Should I assume that everyone in the chat knows what a jackalope is?
You can. No, don't assume.
Don't assume. Okay, so a jackalope is a cross between a jackrabbit and an antelope. So you can see it looks very much like a fluffy rabbit, and it has horns. And this one, very rare, as I said, because it also has wings. And the tail, you can't see the tail in that picture. It's got a very fine tail.
Here, I'm gonna pull up a picture. Keep talking,
Okay.
but I'm pulling up a picture
Okay.
of you and him from the
Okay,
internet.
I'll turn my camera back on then.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. All right. And so yeah, flying jackalopes are extremely rare. And they work as, I mean, it's taxidermist's art, number one. It's also a taxidermist's joke because it's a non-existent mythical animal. And it works as a kind of practical joke because people who don't know what a jackalope is can be fooled into, first of all, thinking that it's a real thing. Or they can also be fooled into going on a jackalope hunt, which is kind of like a snipe hunt, except that snipe are real. That's where you take the dupe out into the woods or on the prairies late at night, and give them a big sack and say, okay, you wait here, we'll go beat the bushes and drive the snipe or the jackalope towards you, and then everybody else sort of buggers back off home and leaves the dupe out there, literally holding the bag. I think that's where that concept comes from.
Oh, is it really holding the bag?
I'm guessing.
Okay,
I'm guessing that that's where it comes from. You're holding the bag until you figure out that there's no jackalopes coming. I don't hear anybody. And hopefully then you figure it out and you make your way back to the group, and then they let you in on the fact that it's all a big joke. It's a prank. Even if you are just looking at the thing, so that people come into my office, they can see the jackalopes right there behind me. It's kind of stands out, right?
Yeah, I mean, lovely plumage.
Yeah. With lovely plumage, yeah. And so people, very often will ask, well, what is that? And then I tell them the whole story. It's a jackalope. What's a jackalope? It's a cross between a jackrabbit and an antelope. And then some people then get it at that point because that's impossible. But other people sit there going, well, I guess jackrabbits are kind of big and antelope are kind of small. So that you can sort of imagine a date between a jackrabbit and an antelope or something, or what's going through their heads. So then I have to figure out a way to let them in on the joke, but without, but saving everyone's face at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? So if I tell them outright, "You fool! No, there's no such thing." Ha ha ha! Right. Most of the people that come into my office, I do not have that kind of relationship with. I can't be talking to them that way, right? And so I have to let them down slowly. And so the routine that I've developed is to say, yes, well, jackalopes are very rare. They're very shy. They're very nocturnal. You never see them. But if you go out on the prairie late at night and you're very, very quiet and you're very, very lucky, you might hear them singing Home on the Range. Yeah, there you go. That's a cringe, right? I don't know.
That was fun.
And so that is a way to get the message across that it is just a joke, but in such a way that no one has to acknowledge openly that it was a joke and that they were fooled, right? It's important to do that because you don't want to have deans and such going off thinking that this is real and then finding out later from somebody else, no, Moira was just pulling your leg. Some people might not take well to that. So it can be a bit tricky. But mostly it's just fun. People just have fun with it. We've made him the official mascot of our department and the library. He's the cutest, and he's useless at reference questions, but he is the cutest. It just goes a long way.
Well, nobody's perfect, I guess.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
A little gold jackalope, but I couldn't find him for today.
What's up?
I have a little gold jackalope, but I couldn't find him.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got.
I have a Nessie. I have a gold Nessie.
Oh well, Nessie's not a Nessie's not a joke.
He's not as cool.
Oh wow! Beautiful legs. Very long legs.
Beautiful
I didn't know
legs.
they had those.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I was one with legs.
Yeah, this one's got legs. Mostly it's just the head, right?
Yeah.
But obviously they have to have legs. How would they get around?
Legs.
Yeah, except Boris, who's my jackalope. His name's Boris, by the
Mhm.
way.
Yep.
He has pheasant feet.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's got like webbed feet or something.
No, he's got pheasant feet.
Okay, of
And wings, and a tail
course.
and plumage.
Does that
And
make him something other than a jackalope? Is he
a flying jackalope.
Oh, flying jackalope. Oh, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to
I
add
think
like
there's-
the ez or the fe or the ant or the fez anywhere. Okay.
When I did that thing with the Nevada Humanities Council, we were talking about why is it a jackalope and not a what was the other thing that we could have been? It could have been an antibit.
Antibit, yeah.
Yeah, or but the jackalope seems to work the best linguistically, I think.
Hmm.
And
Sounds
then
about
let's see. Shirley, why don't you ask this last one?
I do need to ask this last one
Yes.
because I'm the one that needs the receipts. So, Moira, what was in fact the dumbest thing Dom did when he was your GA?
Oh.
Spill the tea.
Well, we joke amongst ourselves. You remember Ron, Dom? The chief IT guy in the libraries. Ron, he's an old friend. He came in. This is after you had gone your way. And we noticed that one of those remember we had those flatbed scanners. We still do have those flatbed scanners in the office. And the lid to one of them got broken.
Yes.
You remember this?
A little,
yeah. And it's no big deal, but Ron and I were. Ron noticed this and pointed it out, and I said, was that? He said that must have been Dom, and I'm like, yeah, I'm afraid it was. And we agreed that you did tend to bounce off the walls. Yeah. So.
Like the hinge was busted. Is that what you're telling me?
I think the hinge busted. Yeah.
Okay, that might have been. I don't think it was Matilda.
I don't think it was Matilda either. No.
Okay, I didn't know this. I didn't. We threw that question out there as like, oh, won't this be fun? And I did not know it was going to be something that wasn't discovered till after I left. I feel like I got away with something.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I mean,
excellent.
But not calling you a truther.
Excellent. So we've got one more little segment we want to do with you before your appearance is over, Moira. And I guess that means I'm about to share screen with a link on Discord for you to watch real quickly, or if you haven't already, hit watch stream. But I have a question before we start that, and that is, Moira, are you familiar with the idea of a tier list?
No.
Well, a tier list comes from different fighting video games communities as a way to rank character choice, but also in the past couple of years, and especially on Twitch, it has become a fun way of organizing and ranking everyday life, which of course means a folklorist would love it. And by your special request, because we know you wanted to talk about it, we have devised your very own tier list for you today. And these are the weird birds of New Zealand.
Weird birds of New Zealand.
We also
Did you misspell weird in the on purpose?
No, I just am bouncing off the walls always. So this is the weird birds.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah, I spelled it better here, and this is if we need close-ups for chat, here is our own here are bigger questions or bigger images of the weird birds, so people in chat can see it. That is to say, we've compiled.
My dad called that a. Can you show it again? The kiwi?
Yeah, I'll blow it up again.
That is in New Zealand parlance a squat-arsed chook.
A what now?
A squat-arsed chook.
Oh, I love it.
A chook is New Zealand for chicken.
Yes. Okay.
And you can see he's got a big butt, right?
The resemblance is uncanny. So we're gonna go through these birds with you, and you're gonna rank them on a scale from S to D. S being a theoretical grade above 100, and then A, B, C, D is barely passing. If we have to make like an F tier or an A plus tier, or S plus tier or something, there's a precedent for that. But basically, most tier lists go on a very Japanese grading metric of S to D.
Oh my,
Yeah, I know. S.
that's complicated.
Incredible. I mean, it's just A, B, C, D, and then S is
A, B,
if
C,
you
D,
could
and
give
S is
something if you could give
is
something a 101.
supernova, right?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be master, but I still don't know why that's an
Okay.
S. Senpai maybe.
And are we measuring weirdness, or are we measuring cuteness, or what?
How do you want to play that? Do you want to go for cuteness or weirdness?
Weirdness.
Weirdness. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go for weirdness. And the
Yeah.
first one we have up on this with our image links is your what did you call it earlier?
Squat ass chook.
Yeah, the kiwi. Where does the kiwi rank among the weird birds of your home islands?
Probably an A.
Probably right. All right, great into the
Right
A.
up there. Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of these birds when we were putting this together are flightless.
Yep.
It's just the way things evolved.
Yeah, there are no native predators in New Zealand.
Ah, interesting.
So the birds evolved to fill the niches that would. There are no native mammals in New Zealand.
Yeah, I was gonna say you drop a bear onto New Zealand, the ecosystem collapses.
Totally, yeah.
Like Daisy kind of points out, there's something about like the islandness.
Yeah.
So can
Yeah.
cause weird
Yeah,
evolutionary.
it's separated off from the rest of Gondwana land early enough that everything sort of evolved differently and in isolation. And yeah, therefore no mammals or birds.
You know, just A+ for you for like working in Gondwana land.
Gondwana land, yeah.
What a great turn of phrase. All right. Next up, we have the fantail, or I believe as he's called, the Piwakawaka. Yeah, Piwakawaka.
Piwakawaka. They're awfully cute, but they're not weird, really.
But they're not weird enough.
No, they're not weird. They're a D.
They're a D.
In terms of weirdness, they're up there on the cuteness scale for sure. I love them. But
well, that's good.
Yeah.
What about the black stilt?
Oh yeah.
That's a funny picture. It looks a bit like something out of Monty Python, doesn't it?
A little bit.
It's a Monty Python black stilt. But they're not particularly weird either. Maybe that's a C. They're weirder than fantails, but
they're weirder than a fantail, but they're not peak goofy.
Not terribly. Not peak goofy.
Okay. And is this the
Kia?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Kias are so much fun. Kias will eat your lunch.
Wow.
Kias will steal a 2-kilo block of cheese from your backpack while you're hiking, and not give it back.
Are you speaking from experience?
Indirectly, yeah.
Okay.
But there may be a where did I put that? They're B.
They're B.
They're a B in terms of weirdness.
It sounds like they're not freakish looking, but they are weird little guys.
They are weird little guys, and actually they're pranksters. They are pranksters.
Ah, that's good.
They will destroy a car. They go around in mobs of single males getting into trouble. And they will eat anything on a parked car that can be eaten, like all the rubber, from the wipers and around the windows and stuff like that. They will totally destroy a car.
That is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Next up,
my favorite
kakapo. Kakapo?
Oh,
Kakapo. So a kakapo flies kind of like a brick. That is,
sounds like
they
it
can climb up. What?
It sounds like it hurts.
Well, they doesn't seem to hurt them, but they will climb up trees, but then launch themselves, and they're sort of semi-controlled fall. That's what they consider flight. They're basically flightless. They also live as bachelors most of the time.
Interesting.
So the males and the females live apart until such a time that there's a particular fruit, and I can't remember the name of the tree, that when that tree is in fruit, which is not every year, are conditions ripe for mating and rearing chicks. So when that happens, the males form bowls in the ground, and they get in the middle of these bowls and they boom. They make these deep booming noises, hoping to attract a female. And the tragedy is that until fairly recently, there were no females that showed up. The females, I guess, had gone off to lunch somewhere else.
We have lost the Entwives.
Yeah, yeah. So, for me, they're an S in terms of
They're an
weirdness.
S. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. Okay, next up is the Ruru.
Ruru Morpork. It's called a Morpork because that's what the English settlers thought that's what it sounded like. It sounds like Morpork. And it's the New Zealand native owl.
Yeah.
Terrifically cute, but not very weird. They're just an owl. Mind you, owls are actually weird by definition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. All owls are weird, and they're definitely an owl. So maybe they're up there with the kiwi. Can we give them an A?
Yeah. Is it the A above kiwi or A below kiwi?
Below kiwi.
Below kiwi. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, if I've done this right, yeah, is I have them on here twice for some reason, but Pukeko.
Pukeko, because they're everywhere. Swamp hen. I mean, look at those feet.
Ugh.
Look at that. Look at that gait. You know, they are just terrifically iconic. They don't fly either.
Send feet pics.
No.
Hey,
That's not. It's not free, Shirley.
Giving it out for free right now, baby.
Oh no.
I think that one's got a band.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, you might do. Yeah. So Pukekos are funny looking, definitely. But I don't know. Maybe they might be A's too. They might be in between the Ruru and the
Awesome.
and the kiwi. Yeah.
Great. He's everywhere, like you said. And then next
He's
we
everywhere.
have a
Takahe.
Takahe.
Takahe. Now that was a bird that was considered to be extinct.
That's what I heard in researching this.
Yeah, and then they were rediscovered quite a few years ago now, but they were very, very endangered. They're making a comeback though, and they're pretty close to a pukeko. They're just rarer, so I guess that gives them sort of a boost in terms of weirdness. So can we put them like ahead of the pukeko but before the kiwi?
Yeah, sounds right. Right here.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Next up is a tomtit.
Oh, isn't that cute?
It really is.
Really is cute, but it's not weird. So no.
Weird name, but
tomtit. It's a very common British name for a type of bird. There are blue tits.
I do know blue tits. Yes.
Yeah, blue. So it's kind of like I think that there was that. I don't know what the Maori name for tomtit is.
I saw it, but I didn't write it down for whatever reason. So where's this go on the weird scale?
Is probably he's the least weird of the lot. So I mean, fantails are weirder than tomtits because of those tails. So, yeah.
All right, last two home stretch we have. Is it the weka?
A weka. They're kind of like pukekos but without the color. And they're kind of like kiwis but without the beak. So they're kind of blah. But they're also flightless. And I saw a I saw a weka once on a campsite. Run across where our campfire had been. He didn't like the way it felt. So that was kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah, instead of hopping. So I think it's probably a B.
Okay. Is it?
What else do we have in the B?
Is it the Kia?
Kia. Oh yeah, they're weirder than Kias.
They're weirder than Kias. Okay.
Yeah, because Kias can fly.
Sure.
Wekas can't.
Yeah, and eat your car.
And eat your car.
The last one, this is sort of posthumously, but the moa.
Oh, moas. Oh my God.
Look at those legs.
They were huge. They were huge.
Legs for days.
But totally extinct. So I don't know. I mean, they are pretty weird, aren't they? But since they're extinct, though, that kind of like drives them down to my mind in terms of weirdness.
Sure.
So
the experience of their weirdness can't be quantified anymore.
No, it's right. So I guess they're kind of in the B range somewhere.
Like bottom of B?
Yeah, bottom of
Okay,
B.
okay.
I can't get terribly excited about moas,
Um,
Although when we were kids and we would go out in the bush, we would occasionally run across like a cow bone or something, and we were always convinced it must be a moa bone.
is there any other weird little guy that we left off the list?
Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, is this an alert from Shirley here?
Breaking
Sounds like
news!
another.
Yes.
We forgot to add the 2021 New Zealand Bird of the Year.
Which is
Oh yeah.
the
Dom,
long-tailed
there's a
bat?
picture for you to add in stream mods.
Give me 1
The
second.
what?
Give me. Oh, I don't know why your face is up there. Hold on. Okay, so you said the long-tailed bat is 2022 Bird of the Year?
I think that
Apparently,
election was. I think that
According
election
to
was
James
rigged.
Dalton Bell.
A bat's not a bird. It was rigged.
It was the election was rigged.
Definitely rigged by the
Okay.
bats.
Are there lots of
That's the only native mammal in New Zealand.
New
Oh,
Zealand
wow.
has only 2
those
land mammals,
bats.
and they're both bats.
Yeah,
they
they're both
say
bats.
that again? They have only what?
2 land mammals.
And they're both bats.
Yeah. They're both bats.
Interesting.
Yeah, we do have sea mammals. Seals and dolphins and whales
Yeah.
and what have you. But
What's the-
on land, yeah,
Excited.
it's all bats.
What's the other? You said 2? They're both bats?
There's bat 1 and bat 2.
Wow, that's fascinating. All right, so
Pretty rare, I think. aren't
I
they?
think so. So
Yeah.
this is an unofficial, rigged election. Stop the count. Unofficially, the bat is the last
there
weird
have
bird.
there have been some shenanigans on the Great New Zealand sort of greatest New Zealand bird list thing. There was a story about it like in the last year or two that people were saying there was some shenanigans in the election, and it was one of the nice things about New Zealand. So number one, that kakapo
Mm-hmm.
is the official New Zealand spokesbird.
Oh, great.
New Zealand has a spokesbird, and even back before birds were trendy in New Zealand. I mean, this is even before television. This is how far back this goes. Radio New Zealand, and they still do this. They have a daily bird.
Mm-hmm.
So every morning after the news, the same time every morning for decades and decades and decades, they play a New Zealand bird call.
Wow.
And it's just called, this is the bird of the day or whatever. And after sometime, I think in the 90s, late 90s, maybe it was 2010s, the Radio New Zealand decided that this was just way too hokey, maybe it was too cringy, I don't know, to be playing a bird call. And so they said, announced, well, we're gonna drop the bird. And the country went wild. And they were like, you can't get rid of the bird. We must have the bird. You got to bring it back. And they brought it back.
Bird is
And
the
so every day at a certain time on Radio New Zealand, you will hear them announce it. It's like, and now the bird. And they'll play a bird call.
Wow.
A native New Zealand bird call.
This is
Can you imagine them doing that in the United States?
That is so cute. I would love that radio station. If Beat 101.5 decided to do like a bird call every like 4 hours, that'd be already top tier radio station.
Yeah,
but-
here's the
Yeah.
bird of the day, just like the osprey
Bird of the day.
screech. Yeah.
Word of the day.
Oh, chat says this is not rigged. It was an intentional decision to put on the list for voting because the point of voting is to raise money and awareness for conservation. And the same issues that affect most native bird species affect native bat species. So the long-tailed bat won in a writing campaign.
Boring.
Not weird.
Not weird.
Normal.
It's intersectionality.
Okay.
It's not rigged.
Oh my goodness.
If you put it that way.
That's good, Shirley. That's really good.
If you put it that way, I have no choice.
Yikes.
Yeah. You can't touch that one.
Hey everyone, here is your official Weird Birds of New Zealand tier list on a scale from S to...
Wait, but where does the bat go?
The bat doesn't make it on the tier list. He's a mammal.
I think a bat is a pretty damn weird bird.
Moira, does the bat go on the
A
tier
bat
list?
is a pretty damn weird bird. I agree. He might be. He might. If we were going to put him on, he'd probably have to be in the S's. But
Okay.
after the Kakapo, you cannot supplant the Kakapo.
You can't. Okay, I can do something about
No.
this. 1 second. You won't be able to see this, Moira and Shirley, but it'll
Okay.
appear to everyone in chat.
All right.
But I'm just going to write the word bat and superimpose it over my screen. And
A bat is a pretty weird bird, but it's not as weird as the kakapo.
But they can at least fly, right? Unlike a Kakapo.
Bats can fly.
Bats can fly. They're good flyers.
For a New Zealand bird, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, actually,
that is
look
true.
at this tier
That
list.
is
That
true.
makes him a weird bird for New Zealand. All right,
That's true.
Everyone on Twitch can see this. Now, second place is the word bat. So I'm going to say bat, bat. So I'm going to say there we are, bat, second place. And this is just someone in chat who knows a lot of bat facts. Says it in Maori, the word for bat. Wow, this is interesting. Uses the same or at least similar word for all flying animals, mammal, bird, insect, flying dichotomies, taxonomic, and cladistic one, not a cultural one. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Thank you for everyone in chat with the bat facts.
Thank you.
Well, here official tier list. No matter where we put the bat, Kakapo remains undefeated and at the top of S. And I would just like to say, with that, put a bow on that. Moira, thank you officially for coming on the show. Where if people want to see or learn more about you, where should they go? Or what can they read? Yeah.
Well, they could buy my book.
Book?
Yeah, book.
Yes. Is this practically joking? Great.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is in chat.
There it is in chat. Yeah, you can. It's still in print, I believe.
Great.
Yeah, and there's a picture of Boris in there too, so that's like a bonus.
I mean, he's a legend.
He is absolutely a legend.
Yeah. Chat, there's one thing left for Moira on her way out of this interview. Show your support. Show how much you like this interview. Ladders in the chat for Moira. If you're not a subscriber and you don't have ladders, give her a hearty GG. Or tell her your favorite joke. Or find some alternative way to do applause that shows up over text. Is basically all I am asking of you. There we go. The ladder. The chat. The chat basically Moira applauds in an emoji for ladders. It's a weird inside joke around these parts, but that means they appreciated you.
All right, I'll take your word for it, Dom.
Yes.
Quilts have had meaning on many levels. Making quilts helped me to get a sense of my own space, sense of finding my way, sense of really working my way out of the labyrinth.